Again, thank you guys for having me. So today, as Michael said, we are going to have a discussion on how we can use Excel and then Power BI together. And these are powerful tools in the data and then analytics space. So as a business intelligence expert or a data analyst, you have to learn how you can leverage the two tools. So here, I'm not here to talk to you about using Excel instead of Power BI or how to stop using Excel and then use Power BI. No, I'm going to take you through how you can leverage the two applications together. Because I believe that when you use the two applications together, you tend to get a lot of benefits as compared to just relying on only one of the applications. So here I'm going to look at how you can move your Excel knowledge and even start your journey in Power BI. And that's where I came from. I started in Excel and then I moved to Power BI. It doesn't mean I have stopped using Excel. I still use Excel and I have so many stuff in Excel, and I up to now I still use it, even though I use Power BI most of the time to do some of the stuff that I do. So today is on using Excel and then Power BI together. So the introduction, I'm not going to go over that. So by now I'm sure you guys have an overview of what Power BI is all about. So I'm just going to take you through briefly what Power BI is all about. Maybe if this is the first time that you are joining the platform, so you don't know much about Power BI. So Power BI is a collection of services, applications, and data connectors that work together to help you to be able to develop interactive reports. And here we are looking at how you can connect to different data sources and then bring it into Power BI, where you also be able to develop comprehensive and interactive dashboard, and you can share it with people either outside your company or within your company. So now if you take the Power BI ecosystem, here we are looking at basically three things. We are looking at Power BI Desktop, Power BI Service, and then the Power BI Mobile. And that's the part that we have within the Power BI environment. So with the Power BI Desktop, that's the free version of Power BI, which you can have on your desktop, where you can use it to connect to so many data sources and you'll be able to analyze it to develop dashboards and then other reports. Then we also have the Power BI service, which is just like a cloud-based version of Power BI Desktop, where you'll be able to publish your report or dashboard onto the cloud and you'll be able to access it on your mobile phone. If you also want to share it by publishing it on the web, if the data is not that sensitive, you'll be able to also publish it on the web. Then we also have the Power BI Mobile, which is just like the mobile version of the Power BI service, where you'll be able to have access to your reports just on your phone. So maybe you are traveling, you want to keep track on your business performance. Based on the report that you have on the Power BI service, you'll be able to access it on your Power BI Mobile. So you can keep in touch with your business and see how things are moving. That's the Power BI Desktop. So with Power BI Desktop, you'll be able to connect to data from so many sources, okay, using the Power Query. Then you'll also be able to create interactive reports that is being customized just for your business. So here you'll be able to come up with some custom visuals and other interactive visuals that you can put together to develop a report and a dashboard. Then you also have the Power BI service. So here you'll be able to share your reports. You'll be able to use some of the AI capabilities to get to know more about your data. So this is the workflow of Power BI. So we start from Power BI Desktop, then we move to Power BI Service, and then we move on to Power BI Mobile if you want to keep track of your business activities. So here we are looking at Excel and the Power BI. So with Excel, as we are all aware, Excel is the most widely data and analytics tool in the world. And Excel provides you with a flexible canvas for you to do ad hoc analysis. So if you want to build reports, dashboards, you can also use VBA to automate your business processes within Excel. Now, when you're using the Power BI, it gives you more control over your data. But here, offering you advanced analytical capabilities and then advanced data visualization features. Now, using the Power BI, you'll also be able to share and distribute your reports with others without any complicated setup. So using the Power BI, it gives you a lot of flexibility. Now, why do you need to use Excel together with Power BI? Why is it important to have the two tools at the same time? Now, when you use the two tools, As we all are aware, Excel is very powerful. But when we add this to Power BI, it gives you more power. It gives you more power over your data. Okay, so that's the more reason why you can leverage the two tools together, or why you need to have all the two tools together. So now let's look at some of the reasons why, or some of the things that will make it easier for you to be able to use Excel and Power BI together. One of the reasons is that they share a common foundational block. So if you take Excel, I'm talking about modern Excel, not like 2007 version of Excel. Here I'm talking about either 365 or Excel 2016 or maybe 13. So here they share a common foundational block. Now here we are looking at Power Query, Power Pivot, using Power View. Currently, I'm not sure you'll be able to access. Okay, I can't, but I don't know if someone can also access the Power View. So here the building blocks and the underlying Power BI are also available in Excel, like Power Query, Power Pivot. Using these tools, you'll be able to move into the other applications. So if you know how to use Power Query and then Power Pivot within Excel, you'll be able to move into Power BI because it's the same foundational block that we have in Power BI. So now with Power Query and the Power Pivot, so I'm sure we are all aware of what Power Query can do. So let me take you through a very short demo on the Power Query. Maybe this is the first time that you are looking at these tools. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of the Power Query stuff, then we can continue. So let me do a new share. So here I'm going to take you through like the Power Query. Maybe this is the first time you are starting your journey in the modern Excel. So this is Office 365, but you can use Excel 2013 or Excel 2016. When you go to data, when you're using 2016, you already have it as part of the data. So when I go to my data tab here, I can go here, get data. So here through the Power Query, I'll be able to connect data from so many sources, from database, from online data sources. So here I'm going to show you a simple way of connecting to an Excel file. So with this, you'll be able to go to from workbook. So maybe you have an existing Excel workbook that you want to analyze. You'll be able to pick it from here. So here I have a very simple data here. Let me pick book one. Okay, let me pick the sales data set. So with this, you'll be able to see the tables and then the worksheets that we have in the workbook. So here you'll be able to select multiple items that you want to analyze. So I'm going to check this and then check these tables. And then click transform. So here I can load this directly into my worksheet, or I can go to transform so that I'll be able to clean the data. Now, currently where we are going, most of the time, the data that you are going to connect to may not be in the form that you'll be able to analyze. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of shaping and then transformation. Now, using the Power Query, we'll be able to do that easily. So I'm going to hit transform data. And with this, all the tables, let me refresh it. I used it some time ago. So with this, all the tables that I have within that workbook will be here. So with this, I'll be able to clean and then transform this data. For example, if I want to remove this column, I can just select it, right click, and then pick remove. And this column will be removed. And here, every step or every transformation that you are doing is being recorded at apply steps here. So here, these are some of the automatic steps that Power Query took when we connected to the data. But if you take a look at this, we have added a new step here. It says remove columns. So what I did was to remove the column. If I don't want that step or that transformation, I can just delete it from the apply step and everything will be reversed for me. So with this, if I want to duplicate this, I can quickly duplicate this, duplicate column. I'll be able to duplicate this. If maybe I have a date, so I'll go to my date table. I have this date, I want to extract the year, the month, the quarter, or the day. I'll be able to do that easily by selecting this, go to add column. Then here I can go to date. Then I want to extract the year. I can pick the year here, and now I have a new column with the year. If I want to extract the month, I'll just select the date, then go to add column, go to date, month, and I want to get the month name or the name of the month. When you click on this, you'll be able to extract the month from this date. So there are so many things that you can do within the Power Query. Okay, so this is about Excel. It's the same engine that we have in Power BI, which you'll be able to connect to so many data sources. But here the difference is that the data sources that we have in Power BI now are more than what you can connect to in Excel. But it has everything that you need to connect to any of the data that you want to connect to. So here I'm going to just go to Home tab, and then you can load this into your data model, or you can load it into your worksheet as a table. So here I can go to Close and Load, and then I'll pick this option here. Now with this option, I can add it to the data model, which is the Power Pivot. That's the Power Pivot, because with Excel rules, it has some limitations about the number of rows that it can take. But when you are using the data model, you'll be able to hold, or you'll be able to import a larger data set as compared to importing everything into the Excel grid. So here I can click here and then add it to the data model, which will take me to the Power Pivot. So here I'm going to cancel this, okay, and then show you the Power Pivot. So now let me delete all the connections. Okay, let me leave it here. So here, this is the same data set that I used to build this dashboard, using the Power Query to connect to the data. And then I used Power Pivot to do my computations and other calculations using DAX. So here, I'm going to show you this. So on your ribbon, you will see the Power Pivot here. If yours is not activated, if you are using 2016 and then maybe Office 365 and yours is not activated, you just select any of these tabs, right click, and then go to customize the ribbon. And here you'll be able to customize, go to add-ins, then you go to com add-in. So here I will change it from here to com add-ins. And here I have the Power Pivot for Excel here. So mine is checked, so this is active. But if yours is not checked, you can also check it here. And you'll be able to have a separate tab on the ribbon, which you can use to model your data and do a bit of computations. So here I'll go to the Power Pivot or the data model. Kindly confirm, Michael, if you can see my screen.
Yes, clear.
Okay.
Oh,
great.
no, when you say see your screen, I'm seeing the first man store. Is
okay,
that what?
Let me. No, it's supposed to be at the data model. Okay.
Now I see your data model.
Okay. So it's the same data that we imported or we connected to using the Power Query. Now we have it here. Now within the Power Pivot, you'll be able to model your data. So here, this is, I'm looking at the data view. If I want, I can go to the diagram view here, and I'll be able to see all my tables in the form of a diagram. So here I'll be able to model my data by building relationships among the different tables. So here, now when you're analyzing the data, you might get data from so many sources. Now using the Power Pivot, you'll be able to model the data that are coming from different sources and make it like one system where you'll be able to pick data from any of your tables, and you'll be able to slice and dice your data using all these fields. So here I have my sales table here, and this has a column here. So there's my primary key in the campaigns table, my customers table, date table, product table, and geography. All of them are connected to my sales table. So here, if there is any field in my sales table and I want to slice and dice it using any of the columns in the tables here, I'll be able to do that. And here is within the Power Pivot. We have the same engine within Power BI. So here with this knowledge, if you want to move to Power BI, you can quickly move to Power BI using the same engine. So here when I go to diagram view, I'll be able to create some calculations or measures using DAX. And here the DAX is a bit complex as compared to the normal Excel functions that we know. But one advantage is that most of the functions that we have in Excel are still available in DAX. So even if you don't know how to use DAX, with basic sum, main, count, you'll be able to do it. So here, if I want to count the number of, or the total unit here, I can just select any cell within the calculations area here, and then I'll go to my formula here. I just have to give the name of the measure. So maybe I want to call this total orders. here I just bring my semicolon and then type equals. So here I can just bring in sum. You can also see min. You can also see max. And these functions are the same as the Excel functions that we know. So here I'm going to do just a simple sum. And sum, so this requires a column name. So this is just like using structured reference using Excel tables. The normal Excel tables. When you are using structured reference, it's the same thing here. So here I need to get the column name. So within this active table, I can just bring my open square brackets. I'll be able to access any column from the table here. So when you bring your open square brackets, you'll be able to access any of the columns. I want to sum the unit here. So I can double click it and then just press enter. I'm done. I have my total orders or my total unit here. So here when I expand it, I'll be able to see that. Then I can apply some formatting to this. So it's the same thing that I use to create all these measures that I have here. So it's not complex. It's something that you'll be able to do. So if you are now starting your journey within the modern Excel, trying to use Power Pivot for your data modeling and your time intelligence calculations, it's not that difficult. Using your background in Excel, you'll be able to learn some of these DAX functions. Okay, so it's the same thing that we have in Power BI. So they share a similar engine. Power BI, Power Query, Power Pivot, DAX is the same thing, just that we have some few differences between some of the performance and other things, but basically they are the same tools underlining both Excel and then Power BI. So here I can go ahead and analyze it using a pivot table. Okay, so I can go here, insert a pivot table, and I'll be able to insert pivot table to analyze my data. And through this, you'll be able to come up with interactive dashboard. Let me share my screen again. And through this, you'll be able to come up with some interactive dashboard. It's the same thing is the same data that I used to build this. And with this, I'll be able to filter it by anything within my data to be able to come up with interactive reports. At first, these are the things that you see in Power BI, coming up with interactive reports. So with this, I will be able to slice and dice the data and see it from so many angles. And here, one thing is that as far as we have connected the data using the Power Query, if the data source changes, I just have to come here and refresh. And my report here is going to be refreshed automatically. When I go to data and I go to refresh all, I'll be able to refresh it. Any changes within my data will be reflected in the report. And with this, if it's something that I do every month, I don't have to build the report every time. I just build it once and I'll be utilizing it over time as far as the data changes. It's the same thing that we have in Power BI. So this is a dashboard that I built. I shared it recently on LinkedIn, and some were thinking this is Power BI. This is not Power BI. With Excel, you'll be able to come up with these interactive dashboard. So some were thinking I used Power BI to do that, but we have all the tools to be able to develop all these interactive dashboard in Excel. But when you're using Power BI, it gives you more power, especially when you combine it with Excel. You'll be able to utilize it to its best. So here I'm going to, having taken you through some of the common foundational blocks under Excel and the Power BI, I'm going to take you through, let me come here, then go to my slides. So now let's look at how, or some of the ways that we can use to use the two applications together. So here, the first thing that we are going to look at is that when you are using, when you have your data model within Excel, you can utilize it in Power BI. You can utilize that in Power BI. Let me look at. Okay, so now the first way. So here we are going to look at like 4 or 5 ways in which you can use the two applications together. So one of the ways in which you can use Excel and the Power BI together is using your data models in Excel. The data models that you have used in Excel, and then you can import it into Power BI. So now let's take a demo on that. So here within my Excel here, I showed you the data model. We built everything in Excel. So here when I go to Power Pivot and go to Manage, here, when I go to diagram view here, I have these tables here. I have all my relationships. I have all my calculations or my measures here. Now, if I want to build a similar report that I have built here, I want to build the same thing in Power BI desktop, I'll be able to do that. I don't have to start all over again by connecting to the data, doing the data transformation and doing all the calculations. I can utilize the same data model that I have built here within Power BI. So here, let me switch back to Excel. With the Power Pivot, it opens a new window. So every time it takes me from my active screen. So here, when I go to data and I activate my Power Query, here, when I go to my Power BI, my Power Query, I want to show you the Power Query, the transformations that I did to the data. So here, when I go to sales, this is showing the new one that I just brought in. Okay, let me close this. So let me open Excel again. Now with this, if I go to data and then I activate my queries and connections, I don't have any query here. Okay, so I have these queries here. These are from Power Query. So I'm going to double click on the sales to show you the steps that I have there. So now here, when I go to my sales table, here, if you take a look at the budget that I have here, I have these series of transformations that I have done. Let me check the products. I don't have a lot of transformations on these ones. So with this, I will be able to utilize it within Power BI, together with my data model, all my calculations and everything. So let me show you how you'll be able to do that. So I'm going to open Power BI. I'm going to open a blank Power BI or a new Power BI, and then we are going to look at how we can utilize the same data model that we have built in Excel. So here I don't have to do anything. I'm going to connect to the data model and I'll be able to utilize it within Excel. So here I'll go to new share and then share my Power BI. So here within Power BI, just like what we saw in Excel, here we have this option here, get data. When I go to get data, I'll be able to import data from so many sources, just like what we saw in the Excel Power Query. So here when I go to more, you'll be able to see some of the data connectors that we have in Power BI. Though some of them may not be available in Excel, but the most common ones are available on both platforms. So here you can get data from a file like Excel, text or CSV file, PDF, a folder. We have all these connectors within Excel. If you want to connect to a database, Access is here. SQL Server is also here. If you want to pick from online sources, we also have these connectors here. When you go to others, you can connect to a data from web. All these connectors, we have it in Excel as well. So here I'm going to cancel this. Now I'm not going to use any of these connectors. Here I want to connect to a data model from Excel. So what I would do is to come to File, then come to Import. Now we have this option here, Power Query, Power Pivot, and then Power View. So here, if you have a report in Excel where you have a data model, you'll be able to import it into Power BI. And you don't have to start your whole journey again. I'm utilizing the same data model that I have already built in Excel. So here, when I go to Power Query, Power Pivot, and to ask for the data that I want to use. Okay, so with this, it's asking for the Excel file. So it means that the Excel file I'm going to import here must have a data model, which I'm going to import. So with this, I'm going to connect to this one here and click Open. And here it says we don't work directly with Excel workbooks, but we know how you'll be able to extract the useful content that you can work with in Power BI. So Power BI works with data sets. So here I'm going to click Start. And this will go through the Excel workbook and try to extract all the content that I can work with within Power BI. So here, if there's a pivot table in my Excel, I wouldn't be able to have access to it. If there's a pivot chart, I wouldn't be able to have access to it. But here, if there's a query, if there are queries, if there's a data model, if there are DAX measures, I will be able to have access to all of them. Now let's look at something here. Migration completed. Now here, it gives me queries. So it was able to extract 7 queries. These are the queries that I have here. When I scroll down, it gives me data model tables. So the tables that I have within my data model will be here. Then it also gives me another content here, KPIs and measures. Now it was able to extract 16 items. And these are all measures that I developed or I calculated within Excel. So with this, we have all of them within Power BI. So here, if I click close, now watch this. When I go to fields, I have the tables here. The tables that we saw, all of them are here. Now let's move on to the data model view and then look at something. Okay, I'm going to pick this. Now when you look at this, we have all the tables, including my relationships. So all the tables are here, and then it has been able to maintain the relationships among my tables. So here I don't have to do my modeling again. If there are hierarchies or anything, everything is going to be intact. So with this, I can go ahead and build my report. I don't have to do any other thing. With my data cleaning and then the data transformation, with my data modeling, my DAX, everything is intact. The only thing that I need to do is to start building my report. So here, let's go to the Power Query and then see what happens. When I go to transform, now watch this, I'm going to refresh this. Now when I go to sales, all the transformations that I have are all here. I didn't do all these transformations within Power BI. I did all of them within Excel. Now here it has imported all my queries. So every step that I took in transforming the data in Excel will be here. So I don't have to start all over again using the same data model within the same transformation, the same data cleaning that I did. Everything is here. So with this,
I think
yeah, hello.
Again, we are not. I'm guessing you are in the Power Query side, right?
Yes, you are not seeing the Power. Okay.
What if you share the entire window? That might.
Okay, that might. Okay. Let me see. Okay, come to window. Okay. The window option is not working.
Okay, no problem. Now I will just always be telling you in case.
Okay, sure. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can now.
Okay. So now, if you take a look at the sales table that I have here, all my transformations that I did in Excel, all of them are here. So I don't have to start cleaning the data all over again. With the same thing that I have built in Excel, I'm now leveraging it. So here we call it build it in Excel and then deploy it in Power BI. So here we built everything in Excel. Now, if you want to take advantage of the advanced data visualizations that we have in Power BI, or maybe you want to be able to share this report with others within your company or outside your company, you can just utilize the same data model. Everything will be intact here. So when I go to each of the tables, every transformation that I did will still be here. So here when I go to close and load, and then I can start building the report that I want to build. So here I can start with the dashboard that I want to build. Everything is intact here. So when I go to the data view here, you'll be able to take a look at the data that we saw in Excel. It's the same thing that we are having here. It's the same thing that we have here. So that's one of the ways in which you can use Excel and the Power BI together. But one thing is this, though we have connected to that Excel workbook where we have the data model, but this Power BI is not connected to that workbook. It's not connected to the workbook. So now if you go to the workbook and then we delete any measure there, it's not going to be reflected within the Power BI here because this is connecting to the original data source. Because when you go to Home tab, when I go to Transform here, when I go to Data Source Settings, this will give me the
again.
Okay. Okay. So now when I go to the data model, when I go to data sources, Now, this is not, if you remember, the name of the workbook that we connected to. Now, if you take a look at it, this is connecting to the data set itself, but not the workbook where we have the data models. Now, this has gone through the data model and it has identified the data source that we are working with in that workbook. And it's going to work with the same thing and then take you through the same transformations and the same data model that you have done. So here, we are not working with the workbook. We are working with the original data source. So if the original data source changes, the Power BI is going to pick up the new changes. So these are some of the few things that you have to take note of. So I'm moving to Power BI. So here when I go to the report view and I want to analyze this data, I will be able to analyze it using any of the visuals here. So that's one way of using Excel and the Power BI together. So with this, I will be able to publish it on Power BI service after creating the report. So here I'm going to close this and then take you back to Excel and then see the other way we can use Excel and then the Power BI together. Now, so within the same data that we are working with, so now I have developed all the reports here. Okay, now I want to be able to utilize this data model within Power BI service. So the one that we took a look at, like the one we just finished, was connecting Excel to Power BI desktop. But maybe you want to publish the report, you want to be able to utilize the data model within the Power BI service. You can also do it within Excel. So with this, after building my report and then my data modeling and everything, I can go to File and then go to Publish. And with this, I can publish this on Power BI service. Now, I have two ways of doing that. I can export it or I can upload it to Power BI service. So now the difference is this. When you are exporting it, you'll be able to export the data model. And then you can use the data model just like what we saw in the Power BI desktop. And then I can start creating my report and dashboard for my data set. So I'm going to start with this export option here. Now it says I have to sign into Power BI. I have to switch my account. So the account I have here is not the same as the one I'm using for my Power BI. So here I have to make sure that I'm signing into the account I'm having the Power BI account on. So here I'm going to switch account. And then type the email that I have used to sign up for the Power BI service. So that's ctfestus.man.io. Ooh. Okay. Okay, let me pick it from here. So now this will give me my workspaces that I have on the Power BI service. So here, if I have multiple workspaces, all of them will be here, but I'm using just the default workspace. So I'm going to maintain it this way and then click export. So let me save it. So I have to save it before I publish it. So now if you take a look at this, we have this option, this sign here or this update here saying that publishing to Power BI. So this will publish this report on Power BI where I can utilize my data model to build my report on the Power BI service. So here we are starting everything in Excel. We have not used Power BI. So here we are just leveraging the reporting and then the data visualization capabilities of Power BI. So that's one way, another way of using Power BI and then Excel together. So here, once I publish this report, okay, so it says that the workbooks exported successfully. Go to Power BI. So here I can use this option to go to Power BI. So let me share my browser here. So here it still requires me to sign in again. So I'm going to pick this and then sign in. So now I'm within the Power BI service. So now watch something here. When I go to my fields, I have the same tables with all my measures intact. So when I go to my source table here, all the measures that I created in Excel, all of them are here. So with this, I can start building the reports that I want to build. So here I can start picking any of them, just go through each of them. Maybe let me go to campaign, maybe traffic channel, and I'll be able to start building the report here. So here, everything built in Excel, but I'm using it within Power BI service. So here, just from Excel, and then I'll be able to publish it here, where I'll be able to use the data set or my data model to build the report. Now, after building the report, I can do whatever that I can do with the report, just like starting everything within Power BI desktop. Okay, and one other thing is this. When you have the report here, because it's now on the service, even when you are in Power BI desktop and you want to utilize the same data set, you'll be able to connect to the same data set within Power BI desktop. So let me show you how this also works. So I'll move on to Power BI desktop. Now here I have a new Power BI report. So here I don't have anything. So if you check the fields here, I don't have any data here. So what I will do is to go to data. When you go to data, we have this option here, Power BI dataset, or you can also see the option here, Power BI dataset. So what you need to do is to make sure that you have signed in into the same account. So here, if you take a look at it, the same account that we have signed in. So when I go to Power BI dataset here, now it shows me the dataset that we just imported. Now what's something here, refreshed 2 minutes ago. So it's the same data set that we published that we'll be able to utilize it within the Power BI desktop. So here I can just click here and then click Kit. Now with this, I have all my tables here. So I can go to my model view here and I'll be able to see my data model. But one thing is this, you don't have the data option here. You can't take a look at the raw data itself because here we have the data set in a different platform. The same way you can't go to Power Query and try to transform this data because we are connecting to a data set which is available on your workspace in the cloud. So here we are not connecting to a raw data set where you'll be able to take a look at the data or try to transform the data again. Here we are just connecting to the data on the web or in the cloud. So here I can go to my report view. The same way I can, all my measures are all here. I can start building the report on the fly. So here I can go to my geography, try to look at sales by states. And here you'll be able to take a look at everything here. Okay, so this is also another way of utilizing. So here we move from Excel to Power BI service, and now we are back to Power BI desktop. Then you'll be able to create all these reports. So this is also another way of connecting the platforms together, Excel and the Power BI. Now let's take a look at another thing that we can do. So I'll move back to Excel and then look at the other option that we have. So here we have already exported or published the dataset to Power BI service. Now the same way I can go to File and then I can go to Publish. In that case, I'm going to pick Upload. Now when you go to Upload, here you are not exporting your dataset. That's the difference. You can decide to export your workbook to Power BI. In that case, you are going with your dataset, so you'll be able to create a report out of it. But when you pick the Upload, you are just utilizing or you are just going to share the workbook and then some of your Power Pivot table reports. So here you are going to see the data just like working with it in Excel Online. Okay, so let's pick this option and then see what happens. So here we have the same update here, which is giving us when this publishing will be done. So when the publishing is done, it will give us the indication. Then we can go back to the Power BI service and then take a look at this. This can sometimes take some time. Okay, so now whilst we're waiting for it to be published, so now which option should you use when you want to leverage the two applications? So now we have two options. We can decide to publish it or we can decide to upload it. Now it depends on what you want to do. So now we have it here. So let me go to Power BI. Now it's still loading, so we'll be able to get the update shortly. So now you can decide to upload or you can decide to export, just like what you've seen. Now, if you choose the upload option, if you already have some data within your worksheet, for example, pivot tables or pivot charts, and you want to use it in Power BI, then in that case, you can pick the upload option. But if you want to utilize your data set or your data model, then you have to pick the import option. In that case, you'll be able to import your data model and then make use of it. So it depends on what you want to do. If you already have used Power Query and then the Power Pivot, and you have some data within your data model, and you want to utilize the same thing within Power BI, then you can pick the import option. But you pick the upload if you only want to utilize your pivot tables in creating your report or your dashboard within Power BI. So let's check here. It's here, but okay. So now we have the workbook here. So when I click on this, this is going to open Excel Online. So with this, I'll be able to see all my report here. So the same dashboard that we saw will still be available here. Okay, just that some of the visuals or some of the charts may not show up here. So we have the same thing within Power BI. So here, if there's any particular report that I want to add to my dashboard, what I need to do is to pin it by clicking on this option here, and I'll be able to pin it to the dashboard. Okay, so when I click on this option, I can select if I have any dashboard that I want to use. I'll be able to pin it to that particular dashboard. So here, I built everything in Excel, but I'm utilizing it within Power BI. So there's also another way of using Excel and the Power BI together. Now let me show you another way of utilizing the same applications. But one thing is this, when you also have the data within Power BI service, you can also utilize it within Excel by using Excel pivot tables. But this depends on the version that you are using. So when you go to pivot tables or go to connect data using the Power Query, we also have the connector where you can connect to Power BI data set and you'll be able to use the same report. Okay, so now let's look at something here. I'll come to my workspace. Now I have my data set here, the data set that we just uploaded or imported. Now I have it here. So here, if I want to create a report out of it, I'll be able to do that here. Now the same approach that we saw in Excel, where we can import or we can upload, we can also do it directly within the Power BI service. So here, when I go to my workspace, here, I can go to new, and I'll be able to import a data set here, or I can upload a Power BI desktop file here, or a CSV or an Excel file. Or here, we have this option here, get data. So when I click this option here, get data, I will come to create content and then pick get. So here we are looking at files. We also have a database here. So if you want to connect to a database, you'll be able to do that. But in this case, we want to leverage Excel. So we'll go to get file here. Now, when you pick this option, we have so many connectors that we can use. You can pick it from your local file. If you have it on OneDrive for business or OneDrive personal, you'll be able to do that. If you have it on SharePoint, you'll also be able to connect to that data. So here we are going to pick local. And this, we have the same dashboard here with the data model. So I can select this and click open. Now, these same options that we have in Excel will be here. We can choose to import it or we can choose to upload it. So here it gives you the description of what you are going to do. If you choose to upload it, here you bring your Excel file into Power BI to view and interact with it, just like you would be able to do that, just like you would do within Power BI Online. So here you'll be able to pin some ranges to your dashboard. Then we also have this import option here, where you'll be able to import your data set and start building your report. So I'm going to pick import. And it says the same data set exists because we have the same report that we published through Excel. So I'm going to pick replace. So this might take some time to be able to import everything. So let's exercise some patience here. So let me. So now we have the data set here. So with this, I can click and then start creating my report here, utilizing the data model that I have from Excel. So here, all my tables are here. So I can start building my report out from here. So the same way, we are using the same data model that we built in Excel to build the report within Power BI. So there's another way of also going around using the two applications together. Now let's look at other way that we can. So all this while we are looking at data from Excel, Now let's look at other way that we can leverage a data model that we have already built in Power BI and then use it within Excel. So here within Power BI desktop, after connecting to the data using the Power Query, and then you doing your data modeling and your DAX computations using the DAX and then Power Pivot. When you publish it on the service, when you come to your workspace, you will see it just like this data set that we have here, but just that this is coming from Excel. By the same way, when you publish it from Power BI desktop, you'll be able to see it as a data set here. Now, let's assume that this is coming from Power BI desktop. Now, if I want to utilize this same model here in Excel, I'll be able to do that. So here, when you click on this option here, we have this option here, Analyze in Excel. But you can only use this option when you have a Power BI Pro account or Power BI Premium account. But when you have a basic or the free account, you wouldn't be able to use this option here, where you'll be able to analyze the data in Excel. So here I can pick this option here, Analyze in Excel. You'll be able to analyze the data in Excel. Though you built everything within Power BI, you'll be able to utilize your data model within Excel. So let's look at how this works. So I'm going to click on this. Now, this will require you to download a one-time Excel update here. So here, when you are within your workspace, when you go to downloads, we have this option here, Analyze in Excel Update. So you need to have this one-time update setup done. For my side, I have done it already. That's why we didn't see the setup. But if this is not done, I don't have the setup. This will require me to download the setup before I'll be able to do that. Now with this, when you have already installed the Excel update, you'll be able to download the data set here. So if you take a look at this, we have the data set here. So I'm going to click on this to open. I have the same name here. So let me share my screen again. So I'm within Excel now. So here it's going to come up with a blank worksheet. So if you take a look at this, we don't have anything. So here I can go to Enable. And then enable the external connection here. So now I have it here. So now it comes with a pivot table. When you pick that option, it comes with a pivot table. And if you take a look at this, let me collapse everything here. Now, when you click, when it comes to the pivot table, now it gives you all the tables that you have within the data model. Then it gives you all your measures here in a different set of tables. So here it has separated all your measures from the tables. So here, if I want to analyze the same data set in Power BI here, I can go to my data set here. Maybe I want to look at the product, maybe by product category. And then go to my source and then pick any of my measures here. So maybe I'm looking at the profit margin here. Now you'll be able to analyze everything here within Excel. So with this, if I want to go ahead and insert a pivot chart, I'll be able to insert a pivot chart to visualize this data. And this is going to be within this model here. Now, when you go to the data model, you don't see anything. We have just connected to the data set on the Power BI service. Okay. So with this, if I want to insert a new pivot table, there are so many ways I can insert a new pivot table without copying this pivot table. Now here, when I click outside, I can go to insert and then insert a new pivot table. But here, when I come to the pivot table options, the data I'm going to use, I pick this option here. Hello, Michael. Everything is okay?
Yeah, apologies for that. I've muted where the background noise is coming from.
Okay. So here, when I go to Kit, let me start again. When I go to Kit pivot table, here I can pick a table or a range. I can use a data model from the workbook. But here I can pick this option here. Use an external data source. So I can check this option here and then select the connection. So here it gives me access to the Power BI. So I'm going to select this and click Open. And I click OK. So here it's going to come up with a new pivot table. And if you take a look at this, we have the same tables and the same measures that we saw when it came with the default pivot table. So you'll be able to utilize it to build any pivot table that you want to build. Another way of utilizing this is to go to data. Then when you go to data here, we go to queries and connections. Now we have this connection here. So when I double click on this, I'll be able to set up any refresh. So maybe every 60 minutes or every 30 minutes, I want the data to be refreshed. I can set up my automatic refresh from here. Or I can decide to refresh it whenever I'm opening the data. So here, this is what happens. When you are creating your pivot tables and you are trying to create a report, what you are going to do is that you'll be querying the data on the Power BI service. So if it goes to the Power BI service and there has been any changes, this will be able to pick up the new changes. Now, if the Power BI service connects to a live data source, then when you query the data on the Power BI service, it's also going to query the live data source and pick up the new changes for you. So this report will be within Power BI. But sometimes when you close it and then you open it, it might sometimes require you to sign in again. And that's one of the security features that we have within Power BI. Okay, so with this, I'll be able to set up my refresh and any other thing I want to do. If I go to queries, I won't see anything, but just the connections, we'll be able to see everything here. Let me see from data here. Okay, so here, if I also want to use it to build my dashboard, I can just go to existing connections. And here, I'll be able to see the Power BI here, the Power BI connector, and then I click open. I'll be able to start here. If I want to use pivot table, I want to use a pivot chart, I can create everything from here by clicking OK. You'll be able to start with a pivot chart using the same data model that we built within Power BI. So these are some of the ways in which you can use Excel and the Power BI together. We have looked at a couple of them. You can use Analyze in Excel option, where you'll be able to utilize a data model that you have built within Power BI Desktop or Power BI Service, and you'll be able to use it within Excel. Then we also looked at how you can use the data model that you have already built in Excel and then use it within Power BI Desktop or Power BI Service. By going to Power BI Desktop, you go to File, then you go to Import, and you'll be able to import your data model, including your queries. The same way, if you have your report within Excel, you can go to Publish, and you have two options. You can choose to upload or you can choose to import. When you pick the import option, you are going to import your data set within Power BI service, and you'll be able to utilize it even within Power BI desktop using the same data set from Excel. You can also decide to upload it, where you'll be able to take a look at the report that you have already built in Excel. So this is where I'm going to end everything. Okay, so you have looked at some of the ways you can use the applications together, because when you use it, there are so many things that you can do. So if you take Power BI, for example, it has some AI visuals or AI capabilities and machine learning, which you can use to dig deeper into the data to get some insights. Okay, so these are some of the ways you can use Excel and the Power BI together.
Wow, amazing. And in fact, I know you have a, oh, someone's hand is up. Yes, please, Ayodeji, please ask your question. You can unmute and ask.
Okay. Hi, Festus.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. So, you know, when you were trying to like show us how to add the new pivot table on the Excel from Power BI, the screen was lagging, so I couldn't see what you did there. And then the other thing is that I didn't quite get clarification on when to use upload and when to use import.
Okay, great. Okay, so now let me share my screen again. So here, I'm going to get rid of these pivot tables. Okay, so I already have the data set here. So I'm going to open a new workbook. So I want to utilize the data model from Power BI. So I can go to Insert, then go to Pivot Table. When I go to Pivot Table, by default, we have this option where you can get the data from a table or a range. Where you can get the data from a table or a range. But here we have an external data source that we want to use to build the dashboard or the Power pivot tables. So here I can select external data and then select the external data that I want to use. So here I'm going to pick choose connection.
I still can't see the options. Oh, I see still.
Okay, let me try.
Cells in Excel.
Okay, let me see. I can't see my Excel from here. Okay, let me pick this. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so now you have this Create Pivot Table wizard here or window here. So by default, it will be on a table or a range. Then we also have this option here, use an external data source. So what we are working on is a data set or a connector which is coming from a different place like Power BI. So I'm going to choose this option here, use an external data source. And I'm going to check this and then choose the connection. When you do that, your existing connections will open up and you see this file path here. It will come with this Power BI Azure API.powerbi.com and other things. So that's what I'm going to pick to build my dashboard or my report. So I'm going to select this and click open and then click OK. So now I have my pivot table here. So all the fields will be available to me, just like using the pivot table within Excel itself. So this is one way of going around this. I can also choose to go to data. When I go to data, then I go to existing connections. Now here, the same connector or the same external source that we saw will be here. Then I'm going to click open. When you click open, it's just like trying to load data from the Power Query into Excel. We have the same load options here. So you can decide to put it into pivot table report or a pivot chart. So maybe you want to create a pivot chart. You can select this and then specify where you want to place the chart. So maybe I want my chart to be here. I'll click on that and then click OK. And now I have my pivot chart here with all the flows of the pivot chart. So if I want to look at maybe my profit margin by maybe device, I'll be able to do that here using the same data set from Power BI. So that's how to go about it. Now on the question on what to choose, whether to pick upload or to pick import. Now you choose the upload option. When your workbook, you choose the upload option, or when you choose the upload option, your workbook will appear in Power BI just like it would be in Excel Online. In that case, you are not going to export or import the data set. What you are going to have access to will be the report. So if you have any pivot table, where you have a pivot chart, you have Excel tables or normal range, you'll be able to utilize it. So with the upload option, you don't export the data set. You don't export the data set. You are just going to open up the report within Power BI, and then you can start pinning some part of the report onto your dashboard. So it means that when you are using the upload, you don't have anything within your data model. You don't want to leverage a data set that you have within your data model. Now, if you want to leverage a data set that you have within your data model, you have to pick import. You have to pick import. So here, when I go to file and I go to publish, here, when you pick upload, it says upload your workbook to Power BI. Interact it just like you would within Power BI Online. You pin selection from your workbook. So here we are just looking at workbook. But when you pick the export option here, you are exporting your Excel table and then the data model into Power BI data set. So here it means that you have data within your data model and you want to leverage the data model within Power BI. But if you don't have the data model and you are just going to look at your Excel report and you are going to pin part of the report onto a dashboard that you already have on Power BI, then you can pick the upload option. So there's the difference between the two. So with the upload, you are just looking at the report within your worksheet. But with the export or with the import, when you are looking at Power BI, you are importing your data set, which you can use to build your report and other dashboard.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I see another person's hand up. Temidayo, please ask your question.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Hello. Okay, Kim. Festus, thank you for this awesome section. I have just questions to ask. In terms of using both Power Pivot from Excel and taking it to Power BI, is it like a standard practice in general, or is it that it's just something you're just teaching? Because I feel like it. I personally feel it is time consuming, like doing something in Excel and still importing it, like still exporting it to Power BI. Is it like it's something that is a standard practice, or just something you're just doing for the lecture's sake?
Okay, so it depends on what you are doing and how you want to utilize the report. So for example, you can build the report. You can build a report within Excel. Now you may require, maybe you are doing the work for a client or even within the office environment. You can work with on a report. Now you may have different people who might require the report in different formats. Maybe the person wants to have access to a report in Power BI. In that case, you already have the model within Excel. You don't have to go to Power BI and build everything from scratch. You can utilize the same data model if that's what the person requires. Another way of going around this is that within Power BI, you can leverage some of the visuals, which might take you some time to build within Excel. Because with Power BI, you can have access to custom visualizations and other things. And especially when you want to build a highly interactive report, you can't do it in Excel. Though with Excel, you can use slices to be able to engage with your data. But in situations where you want to be able to have a highly interactive report, you want to use something like tooltips, you want to use something like bookmarks. Okay, you want to use some of the functions or features that we have in Power BI, which are not available in Excel, but you already have everything in Excel. You don't have to go straight to Power BI and start. You can leverage the same thing there. Because even within the working space, we have some people who have their favorites in terms of Excel and the Power BI. So you already have the report in Excel. You don't have to spend time to go to Power BI and build the same thing. So it depends on where you are and depends on what you want to do. And another way of looking at this is that maybe you want to publish the report on the web and then share it with other people. You want to send the report via email using Power BI. You can go to Power BI and then you'll be able to publish it. You can send it via email. And when your users get the report, okay, anytime you update the report, it's not now that you are going to send them another Excel sheet. When you have it on Power BI and you share it with them on maybe via email, they always get updated reports. But when you are using Excel, it means every time you have to be sending the report to them. So it depends on what you are looking at, but it's not something that we are actually doing it just for doing its sake. There is some reasons behind it, or there's some advantages of going around all these things. Because I know I actually brought a report in Power BI, but I get people who want to see the report in Excel. In that case, I can export the data or pick analyze in Excel option and then come to Excel and build a similar report for those who want to consume the report in Excel. So it depends on your client's needs or maybe what your audience are looking at. But maybe for now, maybe what you are doing, it's okay, but there may be a need for you to use the two applications together.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, any more questions? I can feel it in your voice. We have stressed you. I think you had a class yesterday, right?
Come again.
I think like you had a class yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday we had a class. Yeah.
In fact,
but it's something that I've been doing, so it's okay. I'm not really stressed out. Yeah.
Okay. Is this like a PowerPoint? So there is something I want to share that we are going to ask you a small favor, but it's okay. By the way, guys, you can connect to him. Let me just go to something. Where are you here now? So I will share your LinkedIn so people can connect to you.
Oh, okay, that's great.
But more importantly, the one we want to ask for your favor about is regarding your courses. So I see you. Sorry, if I should have. I put it there before, then I saw something else and clicked on it, and then I left with.
Yes, so ring the Festus, it will come.
Okay, nice, come. So let me just quickly grab that and share with people. Then, so please connect to him or connect with him. Then your courses. So I said, well, let's even see, for we here in Nigeria that cannot come over to Ghana to do a physical class. And then I know you have online classes too, but what about the one that is not live that, can, how do I put it? Like already pre-recorded, one can take as at his or our own pace. So all of your options, just tell us all those, if you have options that cut across the three.
Okay, so we have live sections. So most of the time we do the trainings on weekends. Then what happens is that with the live session, just like what you are having here, everything is going to be recorded. So at the end of the training, you get access to the recorded version. So even if based on what you are doing, you will not be able to join us live, you'll be able to get access to the recording at the end of each of the sections. So when we are done with everything, we are going to upload it on our website, just like this one, just like these courses there. So some of these courses are actually recorded sections, which you can take it at your own pace. Then I also have an online course, just like what we are looking at. I have some online courses that you can also take it at your own time. So
where
if you want to
see that one.
Yeah, that's where we saw like the courses that we saw. All these are recorded versions.
Okay, all these ones.
Yes. Now go to courses.
Courses.
Yeah, just click on it, not the drop down. Yeah, click on it.
Okay. So carry on.
So all these are recorded. Yeah, all these are recorded courses, yeah, which you can take. So maybe you can pick the financial modeling and analytics using Power BI. This is a recorded course which you can take at your own pace. So all of them are recorded courses. You can look at the content and everything there. So when you scroll down and then go to curriculum.
Have I passed it? Okay, I've seen it. Okay, now I get you.
Yeah, so all these are videos that you can watch at your own pace. Yeah, all these are videos that you can actually watch at your own pace. Yeah.
So I want to have. How you get discount? So for guys who are on this, is there a special kind of thing they can plug in as discounts?
Okay, sure. We can work around something for them. So you can give them maybe something around maybe 20% off. And then when they get in touch with me, I'll be able to enable them, have access to that, and they'll be able to enroll. So maybe 20% off. So instead of 499, they can pay maybe 400.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm speaking the minds of some of us. So yeah. So and how do they reach you? I know. I think in one of your slides you put your contact, but how should they reach you?
Okay, so you can go to contact.
Okay.
So here my telephone number is there, and then the email address is also there, so you can get in touch. Yeah, on WhatsApp, the number is on WhatsApp, so you can get in touch on WhatsApp, or you can also get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active, so when you send me a DM, I'll be able to reply, and then we can take it from there. We also have live sessions, so if you want to learn live, okay, we do a training on data analytics where we look at Excel, SQL, and then Power BI. You can also join any of our trainings live. So these are live trainings. So right now we don't have any live trainings coming up. We are now finalizing the last batch on our data analytics training.
Okay, so you've been blessing us. So I felt it's good. The only way we can give you back is at least let people be aware of the services you render, and since we have population on our side, so
Yeah, sure. I get a lot of people, getting in touch with me on LinkedIn, and I also have an upcoming. I have an online course which will be completed this week on this. I'm going to show you how you'll be able to build this dashboard here using just Excel. No Power BI. We are going to build everything in Excel. How you'll be able to build this interactive dashboard. So we are going to upload them latest by next week. It will be available. So if you want to enroll, you can get in touch. Come again.
And we'll be able to see it on firstman.io, right?
Yes, you'll be able to see it there. So I'm going to publish it. So you can get in touch if you really want to learn how you'll be able to put this together in Excel. So here, no Power BI. We built everything using Excel. So you'll be able to interact with this report. So I'm going to show you everything from scratch. So you're going to launch it by next week. It's going to be online, live online, like recorded section, so you can take it at your own pace.
So that's great. Well, that's all I wanted to ask you, because I've been going through your site and I know there will be people. I think maybe I'll even pay for one or two of them. I'm not good with design, so it will be a good. Maybe I'll add it to some of the trainings I'll take this year to improve my design. So great. Anybody has any questions before we wrap up the session? So if in the absence of any question, that means we will just thank you again, Thomas, for the privilege and for always sharing with us whenever we ask you. So we hope we get you, but we know you need to give you enough time, maybe after 6 months. We'll come ask you what's new. Come share with us on SQL, on the Power BI side, or anything.
Okay, sure. Okay. Thank you very much, Michael, for always reaching out to me and then giving me your platform to also get in touch with your people. I really appreciate the opportunity. I really appreciate it. So anytime, just get in touch. I'll be willing to come and then share my knowledge with people. And you are doing a great thing every week. Excellent at Power BI. You are doing something great. So I would encourage my students to also join your group so that they can continue learning and then starting their journey in data analytics. Because I invited some of them, but I'm sure some of them are here already.
Yeah, I see who I'm sure are
coming. Yeah. Some of them are my students. So I would encourage them to sign up and then join your group so that every week they can learn something new from the expert that you bring on your platform. So I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks a lot. And I see someone is asking, how do we get the recording? So the recordings are always, we put them on YouTube. So I've sent the link. The one for today will be out most likely tomorrow because we have to, the person who works on it, and it will be done by tomorrow. And for the community, maybe I'll use the opportunity to just publish all the community links for the Power BI, for the Excel. So that way, anyone who also is here, who would like to just join and always be abreast of the sessions ahead, this helps. Like for this morning, we had one of the biggest personality in financial modeling, and he shared with us really, in fact, at some point my head was getting hot and I was like, I feel sorry for some people even left because when he got towards the end, it was almost becoming like, oh boy, who sent me message? This is a lot. That's the benefit of, it's always good to hear from people from different continents, from different spaces and all. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I have enjoyed the section. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye to everyone.